go through all that.
Mm-hmm.
I, am now creative at an agency. I start to speak, and that starts to grow. And so there's this weird thing where speaking starts to grow, and I'm going to my bosses and saying, don't give me a raise, give me more time off. Don't give me a raise, give me more time off. And I'm making more money in my time off than you can give me as a raise. It's great for both of us. And I knew that at some point I'm going to have to decide. And so that was all going on. At the same time, advertising as a whole was drastically changing. And that the rise of digital, and I had at this point been the creative director or the creative who had been written, whack of TV spots and for Kraft and Volvo and people like that. And I saw this advertising world changing, and quite frankly, at the same time, my two mentors, Bill Sharp and Tom Blackmore, were also changing because they had sold the business to Havas, and so the dynamics of the agency were changing, and some people had left, and it was another generation. So like all these things together was like, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go.
I can see the writing on the wall. It's gonna get out of here before I'm asked to leave,
Yeah. And and those guys are still two of my favorite people in the world, and have some great friendships from those days. But I was getting a bit cranky, and I thought that's not who I am, and I respect those guys too much to be that guy.
Oh, by the way, lessons to the kids out there. When you see that jaded lifer at your agency or whatever business you're working on, try not to take him too seriously because the man's jaded anyway.
Exactly. And you don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be that guy. That's not fun.
Every company has them,
Yep.
So, yeah.
Totally. And so I just said, I'm going to go. And I didn't know. And I just wanted to control my own destiny. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to figure out what I wanted to figure out. I wanted to explore speaking in a way. And I was really lucky that speaking had got to the point that I could just live on that. That like, I was single. I was like, I can just live on this. I was doing 20 gigs a year or something.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds awesome. Being single, doing 20 gigs a year. Oh
yeah. And go like,
this
okay,
the 90s. Was this back in the 90s or in the 2s or in the O's?
This is in 2011.
Oh, in the teens. Okay.
Yeah. So
still
it was
great.
just,
still great. Yeah.
I had just started. So I go, okay, I'm going to start an agency. Don't know what that is, and again, I'd never had any thoughts that I would start an agency. No idea.
Never?
No.
Come on. It never crossed your mind?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
No, it hadn't, because I just love Bill and Tom, and I just like, why would I start something else? These guys are amazing. Well, I'm just love working here. And again, it's kind of like, that's not me. I'm not that guy. I'm not that entrepreneur. Didn't grow up with that.
Okay. It seems like your life has been kind of run on epiphanies. You've had these epiphanies along the way, which have kind of changed the direction of your life as you've gone on.
A little bit, I think, but even the agency, it wasn't like this, in the moment, like in retrospect, maybe, but in the moment it was like, I think I can live on speaking. So I'm fine. So I'm just going to go and start to explore stuff. And I didn't know anything else. I'm like, I guess it's called an agency, and I don't know what that is. And so I need something unique and different, because I don't want to be the guy that's doing TV spots. So what is that? Where's everything going? And so I just spent a year going like, I don't know, like, what's the strategy? If I was to have a pitch, what would it be? And I was really lucky that because I had this speaking, I didn't need to take on clients that I didn't want to do, shitty work for. I was like, I'm just going to.
That's a good position to be in, to start an agency where you don't really need to take on clients. You can just kind of cultivate it as you go along slowly. So
yeah. And so I did that. And then, it was called the Tite Group at that point, because I didn't care about the name. And it was more about like, how do I stay in business? I gave myself 6 months. And if it's not viable in 6 months, then I'll just focus on speaking. That's cool. But I also knew that, one, you can't sell speaking. You can't ever sell your
business of speaking.
Yeah, you can't sell it.
No, you can't sell it.
And speaking, I thought, would be a good biz dev thing. So like, wouldn't it be great if I could own a piece of the thing that I helped give the lead to?
Yeah.
And so anyhow, so I did that, and then quickly realized, as things started to grow and I worked on the strategy and the approach and everything, and you quickly realize like, that I'm not, as a creative director, you think, I'm just going to do this. And you're like, maybe. And again, it's one of those, like, like when I did stand up, and then you do it for a little bit and you're like, but I'm actually better at this other thing than pure stand up, even though that seemed to go really well. So it's the same thing in the agency where I was like, oh, like I'm actually maybe better at like biz dev and strategy than I am as a traditional creative director. Like maybe that's where my brain goes. And I'm not there's this pressure when you start your own shop that you should be the CEO and you should have all the answers. I'm not a great CEO. I'm a horrible CEO. Way too distracted. I'm all over the place. I'm not process enough. So I gave up equity to bring in partners who could help me out. And then we did a rebrand that like once realized what we did really well, church and state. It was that, as you kind of mentioned, it's the kind of the unification of advertising and content together, be it socially distributed or everything from TV shows and documentaries all the way through to YouTube short. And so now we're 25 people. We own a stake in a production company. We're Walmart and Google are our biggest clients. We also work with Centennial. We work with Worth. We work with Meridian Credit Union. And we do a lot of different stuff. And there's been some books and stuff. I'm just going to shut my door.